Introduction to algebra tiles. I just want you guys to know that algebra tiles are so much fun, so get ready. Okay, so this is a set of algebra tiles. Right up here, these small squares. This is positive 1. The yellow is positive 1. The red is negative 1. The green rectangle represents x. The red rectangle is negative x. The blue square is x squared. The red square is negative x squared. And real quick, again, I just want you to remember that x represents an unknown value, something that we don't know the value for. All right. Real quick, I just wanted to explain to you why this is x squared. The reason is that if you take x and you multiply it by x, you get x squared. And the same thing here, if you take negative x times a negative x, you also get x squared, because a negative times a negative is a positive. Here, if you take negative x and you multiply it by x, you get negative x squared, because a negative times a positive is a negative. Oops, those should be backwards. Let's say that this is green and this is red. It would be the same thing. I just wanted to show you that that's where the x squareds come from. So let's take a look at a set of algebra tiles, and I just want you to think about what this represents. What are these? These are x's and these are 1. So what this situation is would be 2x plus 2. We have 2 x's and we also have 2 positives. So this represents 2x plus 2. What does that mean? That means 2 times an unknown value plus 2 positives. All right, what about this one? We have x here, this is a negative 1, this is a negative 1. So this is 2x plus negative 2. We have 2 x's and we have 2 negatives. We can also write it as 2x minus 2. Remember that adding a negative and subtracting are the same thing. All you're doing here is adding the opposite. So do you see how those are the same? Okay, one more example, last one. What equation does this represent, or expression is this? These are negative x's. How many negative x's do you have? You have 3 negative x's. So that is negative 3x. 1x, 2 x's, 3 negative x's. So negative 3x. And what is this? Plus 1. So that's just a quick example of how to model expressions with algebra tiles. When we start modeling algebraic equations, we will use the scale. And think about a balanced scale. Whatever you have on this side, if your scale looks like this, if it's even on both sides, whatever you have on this side has the same weight or an equal value to this side. So what I want you to get from this is equal. So this symbol right here does not mean answer. Equal does not mean answer. It means equal value or equal weight. Okay? All right, and then the last thing that I want you to do is I want you to write down each of these equations, and then I would want you to think about how you would model them with algebra tiles, and I want you to draw a picture. So for example, for the first one, 4x, so you've got 4x's minus 5. Remember, that can also be written as 4x plus negative 5. So that's what I want you to do for all 4 of these problems. Now, if you don't have colors, think about what you could do. You could just draw this as your x and maybe this as a negative x. You could draw this as a positive and this as a negative. Or maybe you could just draw positive and negative. Just think about how you want to represent those. So draw a picture and we will discuss it in class.